Three, two, one. Hello and welcome to YQL Real Talk. And this is your monthly news and real estate digest so you can keep up to date on our local real estate and economy. Your hosts today, like always, are Kurtis Hawkins and I'm Brett Gurr. Nope, that's Brett Gurr. I'm Kurtis Hawkins.
I'm over here.
And the real estate with the Real Estate One team at lethbridgerealestate.com.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're going to dive into what rents are predicted to do in 2024, how approved post-war home catalogs could help our real estate market, and how the Liberals and Conservatives differ on housing policies. Locally, we have set heat records across Alberta. Lethbridge 311 goes live on March 11th, and Danielle Smith is set to spend $17 billion in health care delivery systems in 2024. And finally, you're going to hear our predictions on the Lethbridge real estate market for 2024.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have to apologize. I have to apologize to you, I should say, because I'm a little bit sick. Got a little sick over this holiday weekend. Seems like everybody did. So.
It's ridiculous. Everybody seems to be getting it. I, for one, have staved off and been lucky, but
lucky you.
Fingers crossed.
I'm going to try to keep the sniffling down to a minimum here.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
assuming you don't sneeze on me.
Nothing better than listening to a podcast and hearing somebody sniffle the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well. It is what it is. It's that time of the year.
Anyway, let's get into it.
Mm-hmm.
So first thing I wanted to talk about is the rental outlook for 2024. So it's no secret that over the past, basically since 2020, since COVID started, obviously housing prices have increased. There's a ton of pressures that have been put on rentals, like low inventory for housing. After that came, what am I trying to say here?
Just high rental values, low rents.
What the heck? I'm blanking this morning.
Not good.
What am I thinking?
I don't know.
Interest rates.
Okay.
Interest rates started to rise.
Affects them.
Well, interest rates dropped during the pandemic, which created a huge housing frenzy.
Right.
The real estate markets went absolutely crazy with low cost of borrowing. And then since that, then there's been a housing shortage all of a sudden, wherever that came from.
Yeah.
And that's all putting pressure onto renters. Good news is coming into 2024, it should start to slow down a little bit. So we got this article here from Bloomberg, and they're saying that lawmakers across Canada are putting a renewed focus on making housing more affordable, which we've heard about. They're trying to address the supply issue.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to have some sort of government intervention as to capping those rates. I personally can't say I necessarily agree with that, but maybe something's got to give, right?
I don't know if I'll see that in Alberta,
right?
Specifically.
Yeah, I know Ontario is definitely talking about doing that, and they've got a bit of a runaway rental crisis out there for sure.
It's funny because Ontario has a certain percentage that you're only allowed to increase rent every year or something.
Right.
I don't know if BC has that. Do you know?
Not that I'm aware of, but I don't know that for sure.
Ontario has one, and has it worked? I mean,
right.
Rental prices there.
You can only raise it by 15% every year.
It's less than that.
I'm sure that it is, but
it's actually interesting because I was talking to somebody from Ontario who wanted to buy out here.
Right.
And he was saying that because you can only increase rent a certain amount every year, every time your lease comes up, it's almost a guarantee that your landlord's going to increase rent, because if they don't, then the next year, let's say like the market value, to make numbers easy, let's say this year it's 1,000, and then you reassign your lease, and all of a sudden the rent value has gone up, and you could rent it for 1,200,
right?
But you're not allowed to charge that. So let's say you renew your lease for $1,000 because you got a good renter, you want to keep them there. Well, then the next year, if you could be renting for 1,400,
right?
Well, you can't kick the renter out, and you can't increase the rent up to market value, so you can only increase it to 1,200. So basically, from the investor's point of view out there, is like if you don't increase it, you're just going to get so far behind,
right? And
then all of a sudden your interest rate goes up.
Yeah.
Well, then you're behind the 8 ball. So it's like if you put those rental increases in place, you're almost guaranteed to increase your rent every year. Whereas out here in Alberta, for me, like I'm a landlord, I will, if I have a good renter, they're like I've had renters for 4 years now, and I'm still charging them the same rent as I did 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Because if they do leave, well, it's easy right away. I can just get somebody in and increase their rent to the normal market standard, or whatever. But it just gives the landlord, I would say, more flexibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And having that good renter is a great thing, right? If they're looking after your yard, if they're taking care of everything, it's not always necessarily the extra couple $100 that is valuable, right? So
yeah. I just don't know if I agree with the rental cap that way, because I understand it to some
obviously
degree,
they have their reasons, right? They have the reasons why. Sure, yeah, everybody, but you've got to have a benefit for them. The landlord's taking the risk. The landlord's putting somebody in their home. They're taking a risk. There has to be a risk reward benefit to, having those rentals. Every landlord that's been doing it for many, many years has had a rental trashed at some point in time. So
yeah, it's not all rosy.
No, your expenses and your profits have to outweigh the possibility of somebody trashing your place at one point in time. So if they're making money, if they're making those profits and they're very profitable, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Profit isn't a swear word, but in some cases, sometimes it is.
It's a business.
It's a business, right? And if you make it so that those landlords can't make money or good money, then maybe they'll quit doing it.
Yeah.
And
there's this
who's going to be buying those houses then, right?
There's this belief out there that like all landlords are horrible and they're all making a pile of money off of their rentals.
Yeah.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. If you bought a house 5 years ago in Vancouver, Ontario, you made a pile of money for sure.
Of course.
But
absolutely.
if you're looking in Lethbridge, for example, I've owned my homes for close to 7 years, I think. And we've done well on the equity side.
Yeah.
But we're not raking in a ton of cash flow.
No, we're increasing equity for sure. But yeah, we're not, nobody's getting rich in these areas, but it's a slow process, right? Yeah. And it's typically you're going to make money eventually over time. So yeah, but it's good.
But I mean, the other thing that they're saying in this article is not so much about the rental caps or anything like that, but there's going to be less pressure with increasing interest rates and stuff. That hopefully, because there's less pressures, it's not making your mortgage more expensive. It's going to trickle down to renters, and we've seen that already because the average rental unit, this is still crazy because it's nowhere near this in Lethbridge, but your average rental unit was $2,100 in November, which was flat from the previous month before, which is good. So you're already seeing it start to flatten out. Maybe it'll dip a bit. Who knows? I could definitely see that in Ontario and BC for sure. Well,
and there are talking interest rate reductions into the next year or so. Of course, that's speculation. Fingers crossed, right? And of course, that should affect it as well. That should help with softening that rental market a little bit and make some of those expenses come down for those landlords, right?
For sure, which is awesome.
Another thing we're looking to bring up too is the Airbnb market as well in BC. So BC is looking to, I think they're looking to regulate the Airbnb market based off of. The speculation is that it's putting a strain on the long-term rentals. Because if you got all these rental places that are looking at these long-term rentals, and then all of a sudden it's taking people out of the short-term rentals, and it's taking those places out of the long-term rental game.
Right.
You eventually, it's taking inventory out of that, which is increasing the price. And we found an interesting article here where they looked into it and they ran all the numbers, they ran all the statistics, and the people that ran this survey or that did these numbers, an independent survey, they actually came down to the Airbnb market not affecting the long-term market at all. And from an outsider looking in, I sit there and how can that be? It has to.
That's what this guy was saying too.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. And we'll post the links for these news articles as well on our thing, so everybody can go in and take a look at them. But that's exactly what he was saying too. They got the numbers back and they were like, no. Like, we've got to redo this. And they were like, no, this can't be.
He said he ran the numbers a bunch of different ways, and there was just. He said there was like some areas where they found that it could be increasing, but it was like so significant that it was, or insignificant.
Exactly.
It really didn't make a difference. So it's kind of interesting. But if they're regulating those Airbnb markets, maybe that'll help out home prices, right?
Yeah. Well,
so there was an investor here from the Vancouver Island from Victoria, and they said that they had 30, like he had a business of just running 30 Airbnbs.
Right.
And he had a staff of 7. He said, if this comes into play, I'm gonna have to fire everybody. I'm gonna have to sell all these rentals. So I could see if you're obviously flooding the market all of a sudden with a bunch of Airbnbs that could help out the housing market.
Absolutely.
But I'd be curious to know how many it's actually out there.
Yeah. And that's why you have to sit back and you have to look at, is this something that the government should be intervening on? Because is it actually, there's profitable people out there that have made a great living off of operating Airbnbs, and they're not doing, in theory, they're not doing a disservice to the community. They're bringing in fresh people. They're bringing in, if you're operating a ton of Airbnbs, it's people coming and staying in your community, spending money in your grocery stores, in your restaurants, doing the tourist stuff. So it's certainly not a disservice to the community, but yeah, it could definitely put a major crunch on those people.
Makes you wonder if the hotel lobbies are behind this.
Big
hotel.
You could very well be, right? So yeah,
I'm not saying that. I'm just funny.
And it boils down to, it's like government intervention versus non-government intervention, right? Where I personally believe it's typically better to keep them out, but that's me. That's my feeling. Who knows, right? There's, in certain cases, sometimes some sort of regulation is required. In this case, I can't say I believe or I agree with them trying to regulate the Airbnbs. It's capitalism, right? You're trying to benefit off that. So, and again, going back to the risk reward, if you're willing to buy them and do it, and it is and if it's not contributing to that rental rate going up, which these statistics show, then run with it, I guess. Right? So
for sure.
Okay.
So moving a little bit more locally, I think that was our last kind of Canada-wide one, wasn't it? Yeah. So, I guess there's, we'll save this one there's the wartime houses thing. We'll save that one for later.
Okay.
But a little bit more locally in Alberta, 123-year-old heat record broken in southern Alberta. And that was Pincher Creek.
Yeah, it has been unseasonably warm. I have some Saskatchewan clients that moved here just recently, and they were like, "Is this normal for Lethbridge? Because this is amazing." And it's like, no, I wish I could. We typically have warmer climates, but no, this is 100% not normal. I looked at my motorcycle and thought, man, I'm going to go for a rip the other day. And I never did. Yeah, we're normally really good. But we typically have 2 weeks of winter and then a week of spring, 2 weeks of winter and then a week of spring, right?
Usually. That's what I usually tell people too, is like, we'll get a dump of snow. It melts.
Yeah.
It's nice for a week, and then it gets cold again and it snows and then it melts, and it's just like a constant cycle. But this year we've had like one big dump of snow and it's been gone.
Right.
Like me and my wife, we went for a walk yesterday, New Year's Day.
Right.
And we had like no wind, no snow. It was flipping beautiful. We had like light jackets on. It was gorgeous. I don't know what the temperature was yesterday, but it was plus digits.
Well, and have you seen the pictures of Whistler that are on? Like, it's like no snow out there, and Whistler always has lots of snow. So that's crazy.
Bow Island, Cardston area, Crow's Nest area, Medicine Hat, Milk River, Pincher Creek, Waterton, all set new heat records of plus digits that have been kept since 94, 95, 96, 1918. I don't want to get into all the numbers, but it's just been a friggin' warm summer.
Yeah.
And no precipitation
spoiled
either, which is scary. I think
not a lot.
We're in a big drought across Alberta. And spring's coming, so the farmers are all going to be begging for some moisture.
Yeah. We could definitely use some more precipitation for sure, but hopefully, we'll see. We might pay for it this spring. We might have winter that lasts into June, which has been known to happen. So we'll see.
But we could pay for it. El Nino year, so that's what's kind of playing into it right now.
Right.
But yeah, this is not normal. It's usually very nice winters, but not this good.
Yeah, exactly.
Next is wartime houses. I guess we can talk about this one right now. So Ottawa is set to launch some pre-approved home design catalogs. So if you remember back, we don't because we weren't around then, but right after the war, there was a bunch of building of basically really tiny starter homes for the soldiers coming back so that they could, have a place to live when they get back. And it was like, you still see them all around Lethbridge, all the wartime houses, and they're little tiny, like how many square feet? 600 square feet houses.
Yeah, 2 bedrooms upstairs typically, and and
an unfinished basement.
Yeah,
like super tiny.
They're all over.
But it drives me nuts because I've been telling Chelsea this, my wife, for I don't know, 6 months to a year. Like, if there's this housing shortage, why aren't we building just small, tiny, little, not tiny, but affordable houses? Like, even if you look at the builders right now, even the entry-level builder here in Lethbridge, they still have quartz countertops. They still have like not top of the line, but I will say it's entry level, but you could still do things so much cheaper and like smaller and more compact. And maybe it's because there's no money in it. I don't know. But it kind of drives me nuts that there's no real base level entry level homes.
But I honestly think that's based upon what sells, like people, we've all had listings that don't have quartz countertops and don't have granite countertops and don't have a nice big giant kitchen island. And guess what? They don't sell.
What has come to this world?
Yeah, we're all spoiled rotten.
So I don't know. Maybe that's a me thing, but if I was starting out for example, when me and my wife bought our first place, it was suited. We lived in the basement. You should have seen our kitchen. It was no bigger than this table. We had a cupboard underneath and a dish. We didn't have a dishwasher. So we had 2 cupboards underneath, a fridge and a stove right beside it. Yeah. Basically the size of our coffee bar over here.
Oh, I know.
And
crazy.
We were so pumped because it was our first place that we could have together. We had renters above us that paid for most of our mortgage. Didn't have quartz countertops. It was very
well,
I don't know, not
just
minimal,
basic, but and you were ecstatic to get it, right? And my first place was literally it was one of those older wartime houses, and it had a suite off the back. The power was out when I viewed it first. The kitchen cabinets were literally on the kitchen floor, and there was a weed grow up going on in the basement. And it was like, I was ecstatic. This was my first home, same thing. And I went in, we did a bunch of work to it, just like you guys do all the time. And you got to start somewhere, right? Sure. And that was the house was nasty. It was gross, but I turned it into something decent.
But I just think that this plan of wartime house catalogs that they're going to come out with is just way overdue.
Well,
so I'm glad they're doing it.
I saw a video that said Walmart is now selling houses that you'll get. Did you see that?
I did.
It might have been a US thing. I have no idea. It might be a US thing. Might be,
like a 2-story tiny home.
Yeah, for $10,000 delivered to your. Could have been a joke. I don't know. Are they actually doing it? Who knows? But I thought it was pretty funny.
That's a little extreme to go a $10,000 home.
Right. Yeah.
Like remember the Sears catalogs that you could order your home and build it yourself?
Right. Yeah.
Like, some of those homes are still standing. Like, why, we have so much technology now. Like, why can't we build a base level entry home for $150,000 in Lethbridge?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, your lot, I guess, is $100,000. So
and again, I think it boils down to the fact that just nobody wants them. There is a want, there is a need for it, but
I don't know. I would like to see somebody out there say, I'm gonna be the entry level new home builder guy that's not doing condos,
and they'd probably do really well. They probably would. I'd like to see it. So, but who's gonna start it? Right there we go. Business idea. Get her done, guys.
I am interested to see what these catalogs look like. They're saying that when did they say they're going to come out with them?
And we also want a royalty as well. We'll sell them for you.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, exactly.
When did they say? I don't remember when they said they're going to be out with these, but I'm interested to see what these home plans look like.
Right.
In BC, they had those BC boxes. I'm sure you heard of those in the 80s.
Okay. Yeah.
Built them everywhere, and they were just like, they're friggin' ugly. But maybe back in the day, they were like, oh, these are amazing, and everybody complains about them.
Right.
But it's like, who cares? We need to stick up some houses. So
yeah,
I'm interested to see what they look like, and hopefully they're somewhat decent and
absolutely
can help with some of the supply issues.
Yeah. Okay. Any other articles that we got to go over, or should we get into some numbers here?
Well, we got Danielle Smith.
Right. Okay.
In Lethbridge here. She's set to launch a sweeping new healthcare delivery changes in 2024.
That's right.
So she's looking to spend $17 billion to overhaul the healthcare sector. Basically, what she's saying is nurses are burnt out and they only last about 2 years. Paramedics last about 5 years, and doctors are reducing their private practice.
Right. Yeah, it's certainly
in Alberta.
It's certainly a crunch.
And I think you're seeing that across Canada, but at least it sounds like they're trying to do stuff to help that out and increase the healthcare system even more. Do you have any issues with the healthcare system in Alberta?
It has been a bit of a crunch trying to get in to see a doctor recently, although I haven't really tried too hard. When you're a specimen like this guy, you don't have to.
Specimen of perfect health.
Exactly. Right.
No, but I've noticed
it has been an issue for sure.
I've seen lots of my clients come from out of town, and they're always asking me if they can get a doctor. And so I've been kind of paying attention to it. And there's been a ton come to Lethbridge lately.
For out of town people trying to find a new doctor, it is obviously a major issue. Did you
hear what I just said?
What?
That there's been a ton of new doctors come to Lethbridge.
Oh, lately. Doctors. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I thought you were just talking about people.
No, there's been a ton of new doctors that have come.
Oh, really?
And
good.
I want to say, for those who have looked, probably 80 to 90% of my clients that have asked me said that they have found one.
Oh, really? Yep. Okay. Well, that's great news.
Yep.
Yeah. That's kind of the opposite of what but again, I haven't had my ear to the ground and I'm just going off of what I remember hearing a year.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it's not impossible.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good news.
There was some changes to like the BC healthcare system that pushed a lot of doctors to move to Alberta.
Right.
So I think this year, I can't remember the flipping numbers, but I think in Lethbridge we've got to at least have 10 new doctors within the last 6 months.
Awesome. So, yeah. Well, that's good to hear
for sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay, let's get into some numbers.
Okay, so home sold, we kind of revamped our numbers a little bit, just kind of shorten it up, give you more of the meat and potatoes of it all. So home sold the last month in December, we had 80 homes sold. The month last year, 2022 in December, saw 79 homes sold. So we're up. Woohoo! We're up one. And the last year, 2023 average was 155 throughout the year. So obviously it's taking the peak months of spring and summer and the slower months of winter into account.
Way below average.
For sure.
About close to half.
Yeah.
But it's also December. Like, who wants to move in December? That's like... December's probably our slowest month, if not one of the. Yeah,
definitely. In the real estate world, that's certainly slower. Absolutely. So average days on market, we've got 59 right now, and the month of December was the average days on market. This time last year for 2022 in December was 80, and that last year's average was 52. So we're slower than the average, which to be expected.
No, or faster. Days
on market? No, they're on, well, compared to last year, but overall in the average.
Oh, yeah. But that's a really good number, though, to compare it to last year.
100%.
Average day on market is way down.
You bet. Yeah, they're way down compared to last year. But sorry, I was comparing it to the average.
Yeah. Our 5-year average is like 90.
Right.
Like that was like the old normal. And I think maybe 60. Yeah. Around that 65 is probably the new normal, I'd imagine.
Absolutely.
We'll see how it continues. But.
No, so if you're on the market, the houses are moving. They're moving quick. Yep. That's definitely below average. Active homes on market. This December, we saw 328. Last December, 428. And last year, or the 2023 year average was 426. So to be expected, we're down for December. No real surprises there.
But that because inventory is so low, that's probably why average day in market is so low. So there's less competition out there for your house. So there's less to choose from.
Absolutely. So not a good time to decide to take your home off the market if you're wanting to sell it.
On the market.
Well, keep it on the market.
Because not a good time to take it off.
Not a good time to take it off the market because and that brings us into the next point too, is our average home price. Month of December, we saw another all-time high of 362,083 for our average home price. So that's the highest that it's been since we've been doing this.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
And that's the only numbers that matter since we've been doing this.
Yeah, of course. Exactly. Everybody else before that, they don't know what they're talking about. Yep. So month of last year, we were at 348,755, and our 2023 average, 343,135. So, we're definitely up.
So I guess
low
that's
inventory.
The 2023 average, that's of 340. That's probably safe to say that's our average home price in Lethbridge is 340.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So overall pretty low when you compare it against where Calgary is,
Calgary's going to be easily double.
Yeah. Yeah. I was even talking to, I got a mortgage broker family member out in Kelowna. Their average price is 900,000 out there. So
have fun with that.
Yeah, that's tough. Try getting into that market. And of course, Vancouver, Toronto, much worse. And average list to sale price, December saw 97.3. So this again is the price that we listed at originally versus what it sells for. Last December was 96%. And the 2023 year average is 97.4. So yeah, they're not a whole lot of hot bargains out there right now, but So
in general, lots of people, whether you're from Lethbridge or not, but a lot of people right now hear these big headlines that the markets are softening everywhere. It's not really the case here.
No,
prices are still holding strong.
Yeah.
Average deal market is down. Sales are what they are for this time of year. It's very average.
Yeah.
So lots of people, again, moving from out of town or
for sure
getting back in the market. They're looking for a crazy deal because they're hearing all this doom and gloom. And you're likely not. The good news is if you're selling your home, you haven't lost any money. The bad news is if you're buying, not really bad news, but if you're buying, you're not going to get a smoking deal. You're just going to pay fair market value.
Yeah.
Which is great. That's great for sellers and great for buyers.
Yeah. And, our prediction moving forward is because we're seeing this massive population surplus I think it's only going to go higher, and our housing prices.
We'll get into that in just 1 second.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of that though, I was hammering in a sign at one of the new Strandville listings over in Copperwood here.
Right.
Putting in the sign, neighbor comes out. Oh, geez, that house didn't take long to sell. I'm like, no, I'm putting in the for sale sign. He goes, oh, okay. I was like, oh, how long ago did you move in? He said, oh, December. Just been here 1 month. I said, oh, that's awesome. Where are you from? He's kind of like, yeah, I saw this house online and looked kind of nice. So I moved in. I was like, oh, okay. Where are you from? Ontario.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just goes to show how many people are moving here.
Yeah, there's a ton for sure. So, it seems to be the highlight of our market update every month.
The first thing I want to do before we get into our predictions is we're going to play hot or not with the Lethbridge real estate market.
Okay.
So we're going to get flashcards here, but this is our first one. So on the count of 3, give me a number out of 10 with your hands.
Okay.
I'll do mine at the same time, so we're not cheating. On what you're rating the housing market this month, coming up this month, out of 10.
This month, so January.
Yeah.
Okay. Out of 10. Rating the housing market.
Ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3, go. Oh, look at that. Dang on.
Yeah, 7.
We're both at 7.
We're both on 7.
Okay,
all right.
You go first. Why do you think it's a 7 out of 10?
It's just there's low inventory, and people are, if you have that nice home, it's going quickly. It's going really fast. We continually have shocks depending on the price category, I suppose. If you're in that lower price, it's potentially shocking as to, how quick they sell and how fast they move, unless it's in a higher price range. Those ones are still soft. So yeah, that's moving pretty quick still. So, and your take?
Well, I'm at a 7 out of 10 because housing inventory is still low. We got a ton of people moving here from out of town. Mm-hmm. Interest rates have paused at where they are, which is good. And I just think with all of these different factors coming into 2024, it's shaping up to be again, I don't think we're going to see like what we saw a couple of years ago, and it's going to be a crazy hot market.
Right.
It's not going to be a crazy slow market like you see out in Ontario. It's going to be very steady, I think, for the first couple of months. We'll see what happens going into the future. But I think like a 7 is kind of like a perfect number because I think it's still a seller's market.
Yeah.
But that's with all these different factors, I think it could be a little bit more balanced this year, depending on what happens with interest rates.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Speaking of which, going into the future, what's your predictions for all of 2024 for the housing market in Lethbridge?
In my opinion, continually climbing is my prediction. However, well, in 2024, I think a major catalyst that we're going to see in our housing market is going to be when people start refinancing their mortgages up to the higher interest rate. But if we're starting to see those come down a little bit, it won't be as bad. But I don't think we're really going to see that a whole lot in 2024. That's primarily going to be more 2025, where we're going to start to see a lot of that and people starting to remortgage in that range. But that's going to slow things a little bit. But we're just seeing a massive, massive population boost right now, and that is driving the market and then some. It's making low inventory and a massive housing crisis we might have on the horizon here drives prices up. So you know,
as a recap from 2023, the market was it a slow year? Was it a below average year, above average year?
I think it was just I think it was a busy year.
Yeah.
But I think just that mindset that people had of rising interest rates caused things to slow down. It's funny how like people get in their mind, oh, it's not a good time to buy, which in fact, it was still a great time to buy. I got people I sold places to a year ago. Now they want to sell again. And well, guess what? Their house is worth more.
Yep.
I got people that I've been showing places to for a year that haven't bought. And now they're looking at spending $20,000, $30,000 more for the same house because they didn't buy a year ago.
Yep.
So yeah, 2023.
So my prediction, I think 2022 was a crazy busy year.
Yeah.
2023 was pretty on par, maybe slightly less hectic than that market.
Yeah.
But I see it this year falling somewhere in between. I think it's going to be busier than last year. I don't think it's going to be as crazy as 2021 or 2022, but I think it's going to be very close. And the reason why is because this whole last year, everyone had this like doom and gloom outlook.
Right.
Now it seems like 2024, okay, inflation's starting to get under control. Interest rates have paused. There's talk about them going down. We don't know if they will, but it's all these like little bits of like somewhat positive news that if it keeps snowballing this way,
right.
I think Lethbridge in particular is going to be a really busy market, especially because these interest rates are dropping, which could be dropping, I should say, which in Ontario and BC, they could be at the bottom of their dip. And if it continues to get more expensive, it's just going to push more people from out of town to come to Lethbridge, which has been huge for our economy out here.
Yeah, it's the ultimate driving force right now that we're dealing with for sure. So
awesome.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I hope you're right, and I think you are. But yeah, I guess time will tell.
Well, I'm always right.
Well, of course,
safe to say.
Of course. Hey, let's ask Chelsea. Chelsea.
Well, that's it for this monthly market update. Again, my name is Kurtis Hawkins and I'm here with Brett Gurr. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like this video and want to see more, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you guys never want to miss another one, there's also a little notification bell on YouTube so you get notified every time a new video like this gets posted.
Absolutely.
If you guys have any questions about the market, you're thinking about selling or looking at buying, contact either one of us and we'll be in touch.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. Or anybody from our Real Estate One team as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we'll see you guys on the next one.
See you next month.
Goodbye.